on, you guys? It's your boy Lone Wolf here, and you're probably wondering, you're finally posting a video the next day after you've already posted one? I'm making up for the times I've posted once and then waited 3 weeks to post again. I am sorry, guys, but I promise you I'll try to upload as much as I can now, because I'm not trying to do that shit again. If it does happen, I apologize. Maybe something's happening. Like, recently it's just been summer school, but other than that, I just haven't had time. But I'm having time now, and I'm about to make time for this channel. Anyway, you're wondering, why are you all of a sudden doing a ranked list, Lone Wolf, and on the worst series in the world? First of all, it's not the worst series in the world. It is actually a very successful series, just with some terrible movies, and you're about to find out which terrible movies are in a minute. But first of all, I'm going to go over the concept of why why I love found footage films. Now, if you know me very well, like which a few of you subscribers know me very well, you would know that I love found footage films. I love Cloverfield. I love Paranormal Activity, obviously. I love The Gallows. I love Blair Witch, even though it was terrible for its time. I love found footage films. And the way Paranormal Activity takes that concept of found footage films is they put cameras all over the rooms, and each room you see what's happening with the activity. I don't know why I said but. Anyway. But if you don't know the concept of found footage film, here's the 5-second version. Someone has a camera and you're looking at the point of view from the person holding the camera. That's pretty much it. There's nothing special about it. It just looks like someone's talking. But, I don't know why I keep saying but. Today's word of the day. But. So today we are going to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to the Paranormal Activity movies. So here it is, the Paranormal Activity movies ranked from worst to best. Coming in at number 6 is Paranormal Activity 4. Now, before I actually start saying anything about any movie, I'm just going to let the little spoiler bell go off, because there's major spoilers for all these movies. So be warned to proceed with caution if you haven't seen them, which, come on, it's 2018, you should have seen these already. These are old already. Anyway, the first one on this list, Paranormal Activity 4. The only reason why this is the worst one out of all of them is because it wasn't necessary at all. We didn't need to know about this family that lived in San Diego. First of all, they were only introduced because they adopted this kid named Wyatt. Now, Wyatt is the only thing important in this movie. So at the end of Paranormal Activity 2, this chick named Katie, who is literally the head of the series, she freaking comes and kills the Ray family. The Ray family, I'll explain later when I get to Paranormal Activity 2 later in this list. But she kills the Ray family and kidnaps the baby. Now, the baby's name in Paranormal Activity 2 was Hunter. And in Paranormal Activity 4, we find out that Wyatt, the adopted son, isn't even Wyatt. His name's not really Wyatt. It's Hunter. So, big plot twist there. Wyatt is really Hunter. Oh my Jesus Christ! No, that was not important. First of all, it starts a big plot hole. Why the hell was he up for adoption anyway? If he was kidnapped, why would he be up for adoption? And why all of a sudden is he adopted? God, I'm sweaty. See, like, plot, that's a terrible detail. And the family was pretty much useless to this entire story when it comes to that movie. Like, what the hell was the point of them? I didn't care when they died. That sounds a little fucked up, but it's true, because they were, like, not important to the plot of the entire story of the movies at all. It was just a terrible movie all around with lazy writing. That always gets people in Hollywood. Lazy writing. Number 5 is Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Now, this is the final movie of the entire series where the main demon of the whole entire story, Toby, is finally brought to life at the end. But the only thing that really makes this movie terrible, and this back in the list instead of being at number 1, is because it was the way they filmed the movie. It's weird. First of all, in the entire series, Hunter, aka Wyatt, was the only person that was the only kid that they needed blood from. And then in this one, they're like, oh, you know what? We need blood from this little girl, Leia, too. And you're like, why the fuck does he need 2 children's blood? And then they try and go throw in some bullshit like, oh, we need 2 children born on the same day for him to have the blood. Huh? You didn't say that before, and all of a sudden you're saying that now. That's usually what I hate about movies. They wait till the end to find out small details. And this detail just was a terrible one in general. They did not need to put her in there. And then they ruined the entire format of what the Paranormal Activity series is based off of with a goddamn ghost camera. Who the hell wants to have a ghost camera? The whole point of these movies is so that you don't see what's happening and you just see the activity, not what's causing the activity. And in this one, they have a ghost camera where it films every fucking little thing that looks like a ghost, and it's just like supposed to scare you, and it doesn't really work. It kills it. That's a terrible ending in my opinion, especially with having a ghost camera and not leaving you in suspense of like, what's causing that? I wonder what it looks like. No, this was a terrible ending, and honestly, I wish they could just scrap this from the canon and rewrite a new movie. At number 4, it is Paranormal Activity 3. Now, I know what you're thinking if you actually like the series. How could you put that at number 4? Well, first of all, it was a good movie, I admit that. It was a prequel that showed, well, the first three it goes, I don't really want to get into it, I'll get into it later. But this one is basically how it all started with the activity and why Katie and Christy are important to the story, and how like it shows how Toby was how she met Toby first, and how it actually turns out Christy is supposed to be the one giving up her baby boy for the midwives. I forgot to tell you what the midwives were. Midwives are a group of witches that give up their firstborn child so they can have wealth and success. And in Christy's side, her grandmother, she's like the head of this coven, and she makes Christy have a firstborn child later in Paranormal Activity 2, which is Hunter. And this is why it kind of gets confusing. It's confusing to most people, but I don't even want to get into it right now because that would take a whole video in and of itself. If you leave a comment below saying to make a video explaining the entire Paranormal Activity series, I will do it. But I'm not going to explain it right now because it's too complicated for this video, which is supposed to be on one subject. Anyway, basically, they explained how Toby got there and why he's important and how he came to, like, who started seeing him first. It takes place in 1988. Activity happens. So there's this guy Dennis, who is Katie and Christy's stepfather, and he sees activities going on. Christy's talking to Toby. Katie thinks she's crazy, and it's hard to explain really now that I think about it. But mom doesn't believe it. Their biological mother doesn't believe it. Then she believes it after shit happens to her. They go to their grandma's, and shit goes downhill from there because it turns out the grandma is the head of the witch coven, and yeah, she kills the wife and the stepfather. And then we're left in suspense until number 3 happens, Paranormal Activity 2. Now, I loved this one. It was a great story, and it was like probably one of the best. It obviously is. It's the one of the top 3. But anyway, yeah, it had a great story. It had a great plot. You find out that Christy gives birth to her firstborn son, Hunter, which is the debt that Toby needs if their grandma wants wealth. Or I don't know who was gonna get wealth in that, but you know, someone was getting wealth. Someone was getting that green, if you know what I mean. Now, so basically shit's happening in the house, like any other Paranormal Activity movie. But this one doesn't have a ghost camera, thank God. Neither did the third one, by the way. The third one didn't have one. But this one doesn't have one either. And it was pretty good because of that. But anyway, so at the beginning, they get tapes. Well, you find out at the beginning of the third one that tapes were given to Christy after their grandma died. Grandma Lois, the head of the coven, died. And at the beginning of the third one, they show that they got him. And then all of a sudden, at the beginning of the second one, their house gets robbed. And Christie's and her husband are like, oh my god, we got robbed, but nothing was taken except for the tapes that we were given. And you're just like, holy shit. But the tapes are important only because it's basically Paranormal Activity 3, and it leads into Ghost Dimension because they have the tapes. And it's just crazy to explain. I'm just giving you guys brief summaries of each movie. But anyway, it's a good story. And you find out that Christy's supposed to give her her firstborn son, but once her husband Daniel, I believe that's his name, Daniel, but he doesn't believe that there's any ghost activity happening. But his daughter Allie, his daughter Allie believes that there's something paranormal going on around the house, and she's just like, Dad, listen to me. There's paranormal activity stuff happening, and we need to move the fuck out. And then Dad doesn't believe her. He's like, bullshit, it's all in your head. And then it turns out to be real, and he's like, fuck, now what do we do? So they call his old maid to help them get rid of the spirit in the house. But there's a ritual to do it, and they can only be a blood relative. So they pass it on to Christy's sister, Katie, who was never supposed to have it in the first place. Christy was supposed to have it only because she was supposed to give up her firstborn son, Hunter. But because of her ignorant ass husband, Christy's husband fucking passes it on to Katie and makes the demon more irritated because Katie don't have a firstborn. So that leads so demons passed on. That leads us to number 2, Paranormal Activity, the first one. This one, same shit as the other movies, except it doesn't take place in multiple. There isn't cameras in multiple rooms. It's in their bedroom, Katie and her boyfriend Mika's bedroom. It just takes place in there. Well, they walk around the house and stuff, but it just the activity mainly happens in their room, and they don't know what's happening. Mika doesn't believe, or he does believe that there's demonic stuff happening, but the fucker keeps intimidating the demon like a dumbass, and that's what ends up getting him killed at the end, because at the end, the demon possesses Katie, and she kills Mika. And then at the end of Paranormal Activity 2 is also the end of Paranormal Activity 1, because after she kills Mika, Katie takes off to go to Christy's house. She murders Daniel, and she murders Christy and kidnaps Hunter. I believe I told you this when I was talking about Paranormal Activity 4. I don't remember. But that's why Allie is important. Also because she finds her parents dead after coming home from a school trip. And she starts researching the midwives' coven and starts trying to fight back and prevent this from happening to anyone else. Which also leads us to number 1, Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. Now, you're probably asking yourself, I didn't like that one. Why is that one number 1 for you? It honestly sucked. First of all, if you're a true found footage film fan like I am, you're going to know that it wasn't terrible. First of all, they stayed true to the found footage film format by not having nights and leaving it all over. I mean, that's what makes Paranormal Activity unique, but I honestly want true format for a found footage film. So that means every day, all day, recording with the camera, seeing shit happening. And The Marked Ones does that. There's no night 1, night 4. It's just them seeing that it's just Hector and Marisol finding out that their friend Jesse has been marked by this demon because his mom was part of that, or she was associated with that coven. And they believe that the lady downstairs, Anna, she is a witch. And she actually is. She's part of the coven. But she gets murdered by their friend Oscar, who was a valedictorian at their high school, but being trained to be a demon, because apparently that midwives coven is recruiting an army of demons which take the bodies of young men. And that's what's happening to Jesse, and that's what happened to Oscar. Oscar ends up killing himself because he doesn't want to be like that, and he tells Jesse to kill himself so he can prevent that from happening, so he can prevent killing anyone or hurting anyone. And Jesse starts to show signs of him being possessed, and then he becomes fully evil. His grandma tries to help. He ends up killing his grandma. And then at one point he disappears. He tries to kill his friend Hector. Marisol comes with a bat, bangs his head, and they think he's knocked out, but then another car comes crashing into their car. Kid takes Jesse. They go to Oscar's brother, I believe his name was Arturo, and he's a hardcore gangster, and he found out his brother killed himself, so they freaking packing M4s and stuff, bringing guns to that Coven's house, which, by the way, no surprise, the main Coven's house is Grandma Lois's house from the third movie, where everything takes place, even after she's dead. They go over there, they try to save Jesse, and shit starts to happen. People start dying. Hector's all by himself. He finds a door. He's getting chased by Jesse first, and then he finds a door with strange symbols around it. Like, if you paid attention to Ghost Dimension, in Ghost Dimension, their daughter Leia, or Leela, whatever, she writes symbols all over the bed, like in front of her bed, and then with the ghost camera, you see it's a portal to other dimensions. Well, not other dimensions, to parts in time, but they're only parts in bad times, right? So Hector, in a panic, finds a door with those same symbols on it and a doorknob, and demonic Jesse's chasing him, and he's banging on the door. He finally breaks in. Hector just goes through there, and oh my fucking god, he enters the house of Katie and Mika in Paranormal Activity 1. Holy shit, time travel actually works. What? I mean, they tried to do that in Ghost Dimension and didn't work, but in this one it fucking worked, because it shows that how freaking Katie killed Mika, and it's just crazy. And then Hector runs in fear, and then Hector is killed by Jesse. It was a great movie, honestly. That's why it is number 1 on this list, because it stayed true and actually had a strong story compared to the other fucking ones. But I love the first 1, 2, and 3, probably the best ones, but number 1 overall in this entire goddamn series is fucking 5. I love that one, especially because it was a spin-off and it had the same concept, same characters. It was just amazing. Thank you all for watching this ranked video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one, which is hopefully tomorrow. If not, then oh well, I will try to post sometime soon after that. Definitely not 3 weeks. Be like no one, guys. Peace. So, you finished this video. If you guys are interested, check out yesterday's video about my top 5 predictions for Halloween Horror Nights 2018. And if you don't want to watch that, then go ahead and check out my vlog about me going to Grizzly Fest. Thank you guys so much, and remember, be like no one.